First and foremost, all thanks and praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Wawakakwadash. Peace, blessings, and much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like. Pushing out this purified truth to the rest of the church who believe as well. You men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. The water to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. So I'm going to set off this lesson in the book of John, chapter 17 and verse 14. I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Yahweh Shai has given us this truth. He gave us this word. And because of that, people hate us for it. Because we've been called out of this world. Because in reality, if we be of his elect, we were never really of it in the first place. It's just that we had to fall away to fulfill prophecy. We had to go into deep darkness. But we're being woken back up through this marvelous light, being this word that Yahweh Shai has given us. Verse 15, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. So there may be times where you feel so burdened that you might be in the spirit of Job. When Job was catching hell, he was so burdened into wanting to, just be dead. He didn't even want to be born. He cursed the day that his mother gave him birth. Okay? And there's going to be times in this truth where it feels like, what is the point? What is the point of all this? You keep catching hell. You keep finding yourself being burdened. You find yourself in a decent moment, but you always have to look over your shoulders because the burdens are coming. It's like, who wants to keep living like this? But guess what? Yahweh Shai wants us to endure. Yahweh Shai is not praying for us to be taken out of this world. And in reality, that would be the easy way. Because if we weren't in this flesh, we wouldn't be burdened with the burdens that come of this world. But the Lord isn't praying to take us out of this world. The Lord wants us to be here. Why? Because it's important that we be here to teach this truth. Although people hate us, we have to endure such things for the elect out there. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. So the Lord gave us the word. The Lord gave us this truth. And because of that, the world hates us because we're not like them. And as much as there's times that, make you feel really small or insignificant, or like what we're doing can feel just insane. It can feel like you're running on a treadmill, like you're not really getting nowhere, although you're seeing progress within yourself, but everything around you is still the same. It can feel like that, but it's needful that we're here. Okay? Yahweh Shai is praying for us. All right? Let's go to Philippians chapter 1 and 24. Philippians chapter 1 and 24. Nevertheless, to abide in the flesh is more needful for you. So although we're being hated by many people because we've been called out the world, and it's a burden to have to deal with such, it's a needful thing for us to be here because we have to do this work. We have to please the Lord in hopes to draw in his elect, in hopes to endure. Endure and suffering are really interchangeable. Okay? They're really synonymous of each other. In order for you to endure, you have to suffer. That's the point. And when you suffer, you have to be patient. Just like when you're at a hospital, well, I don't want to say you, but let's say someone is at a hospital for a bad injury. They have to wait as a patient Although they have an injury, they might be in great pain. They have to be patient in their suffering. That's why they're a patient. As they await the doctor, which really just means to falsify, the falsifier, waiting on the doctor to come and relieve their pain. But the true physician, the true healer is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai has given us this word, and because of that, we're hated. And it's needful that we're here. That's why he's not praying that we get taken out of the world. It's important that we're here to teach this word and spread this gospel. Let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 10 and verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So that's why it's needful that we're here in the flesh. Because if we weren't here in the flesh, how would the believers be able to believe in a message that they've never heard? Right? Let's read this again. Romans chapter 10 and 14. How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So it's important that we remain on duty. It's important that we're here in the flesh so that those who are believers may hear this word, be inspired thereby. Verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? So a true prophet, in order for him to preach the true gospel, he would have to be sent by the Heavenly Father. Okay? So how are you sent if you're not allowing those to hear it? As much as it is a burden. And how shall they preach except they be sent? And I've heard the elders say, if the Lord was to let some of us know who we are, that might make us feel like we don't need to do the work. Well, if that was the case, then you're not that person. The elect are sent. They're going to do their job, whether they feel like it or not, whether they fall short or they're on fire. They're going to remain in this ministry. They're going to keep fighting. The scriptures tell you, just man, he may fall, a multitude of times, but he's going to keep getting back up. But it's also about how you fall. Okay? There's a safe way to fall. Our safe way of falling is to do our best to walk in righteousness so that the Lord can keep using us to preach this word. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. And see, Yahweh Shai, he washed the feet of his disciples because that was a sign of him being humble. Okay, that was the act of a servant. Although he was the head, he was showing that, the more greater you are, the more humble you are. Okay, and the feet is the foundation of the body. Yahweh Shai is our foundation. He's the feet of the body. Okay, he's the one that our foundation is set upon. Okay, and we're spreading this word. How beautiful are the feet that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. Okay, so let's jump down to 17. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the power. So as much as the world hates us because we've been given this ministry, in order for the elect out there to be inspired or to hear this word, it comes by hearing it. Just like if the elders and the apostles would have stopped teaching way back, and then other men would have stopped teaching way back in the days, how would those of us who know have heard the word? Because faith comes by hearing the word. You have to hear this word. So that's why it's needful that we're here to teach. As much as, we go through these burdens and it seems hard. These trials just seem so repetitive and just so played out. It seems like it's going to always be this way. But that's the flesh. The flesh is weak, and we have to set aside that weak nature. Okay? So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the power. That's the importance of hearing. Because if you're a true believer, all right, this word is likened unto water. You have a seed within you, a seed of faith that has to be watered by this word in order for you to grow. Okay? Faith comes by hearing this gospel. You have to hear this message. That's why we must be here. That's why it's needful for brothers to keep going, even if it seems redundant, even if you feel miserable at times, even if your life feels kind of the same. Every day just kind of seems the same. Well, every day is different, and every day is another day closer to our salvation. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 10. Therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Mashiach Yahushai with eternal glory. So we have to endure for the elect out there. And we ourselves are hoping to be of the elect, so we're also enduring for our own sake. Okay? We want to make sure we ourselves is right before we can focus on others. And I actually have learned that parable from my aunt, which I believe, her being my mother's sister, I believe she's the one that gave me my government name, being Josiah. And Josiah's firstborn son, his name was Johanan, or not Johanan, Johanan. Okay, but there was no J back then, which is really just another way of saying John. Okay, which really just means Yahweh is gracious. Well, Yahweh is showing his grace through the elect, teaching this gospel for those who believe. So we're not just doing this for ourselves. We can't be selfish. We're doing this so that others who are like-minded may also hear this word and believe. Therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain salvation, which is in Mashiach Yahushai, with eternal glory. So we must endure for the elect. And seeing that we ourselves want to be a part of that number, we're also doing it for ourselves first. And the parable that my aunt had told me was, if you were on an airplane, not verbatim, but if you were in an airplane and the airplane was about to crash and those little face masks came down, would you help others or would you put yours on first? But she was basically saying you want to make sure you put yours on first before you can help anybody else. So as much as we're doing this for the elect's sake, we want to make sure that we ourselves are right before we can teach this word or be an example to anybody else. Okay? So this word is going out and the Lord is using us. And the excuse is really being taken away because we're here. The Lord has us here spreading this word. The Lord is preserving our lives because he wants us here. John chapter 15 and 22. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin. And the Lord is speaking to you still to this very day through his elect. Because we're here in the flesh. That's why it's needful that we're here. Because that cloak, that excuse that a lot of you Israelites had years ago, it's gone. A lot of you have heard, you're Israelites. You've heard about the true identity of the Messiah. You've heard his true name. You've come across this gospel one way or another. Or maybe you've come across a camp that's speaking lies, but that's still a doorway to lead you to this ministry. It starts with you knowing you're an Israelite. Okay, and then from there you grow. But if you're not of the elect, you're not going to grow. So as much as this world hates us, because the Lord, Yahushai, gave us this truth, all right, we still have to bear that burden because we're doing this for the elect's sake. Let's go down to the verse. You know what? I'll just read down. He that hateth me hateth my Father also. Verse 24. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not had sin. But now they have. Excuse me, I'm having a tongue twister here. I don't know why. That's Satan. But now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father. And that shows you how wicked our people are. Because to even see things with your own eyes and you still don't believe, how stubborn can you be? How blind as a bat can you really be? But this cometh to pass that the word might be fulfilled, that it is written in their law. They hated me without cause. So Yahushai was just hated. You have people who just hate you so much that no matter how much your greatness shows, they're still going to hate you. Okay? But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, and that's a spirit that the majority of people can't receive. Okay? which proceeded from the Father, he shall testify of me, and ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning, and the Lord's elect have been with him from the very beginning, starting with his 12. Okay, so starting with his 12 disciples down to the rest of the 144,000, those men have been with Yahweh Shai from the very beginning, and they're going to be hated just as he was hated, because this world hated Yahweh Shai for no reason. To this very day, this world can't receive this truth because it's a spirit that is not dealing with those of this world. Okay, that spirit is only sent to those who the Father sent it to. So as needful as it is for us to be in this flesh, the burdens do come. But it's very important, nevertheless, that we teach this word, because the elect is out there, and we ourselves are hoping to be of that number. So we have to keep going. So with that, all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashum Yahweh Shai, Bahashum Wa Rakak Wadash. Shalom.